hopefully you're all refueled, recaffeinated, revitalized, and other re's that I can't think of. Right, up next we have Neil. Neil, it's like a jump. It's a dual act, Neil and Neil. Neil, part one, talking about Nerdio. Again, one of our long-term sponsors. And then after that, you've got the other Neil, which is me. So over to Neil.
Thank you very much. Well, let me just start a timer so I know what I'm actually doing here. There we go. Morning, everyone. My name is Neil Crema. I'm a solutions engineer at Nerdio, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can move from Citrix to AVD utilizing Nerdio. Apologies in advance, by the way. My laptop is at the back of the screen, so I can't see what slides are coming up next. So if I look surprised, that's why. For those of you who haven't heard of Nerdio, we're a management layer that sits above Microsoft's cloud offerings. So whether that's AVD in 365 or Azure Local or Hybrid or Intune. And the main reasons people use us, there's obviously cost optimization, right? If you're moving to the cloud, that's a big concern because you're now in an OpEx model, and the more compute and storage you use, the more that's going to cost you. But a lot of the advantages of Nerdio are around making things a lot easier and a lot faster to use. Those of you who have used the Azure portal will know it's not necessarily the most user-friendly piece of technology, right? So we aim to simplify that. I'll show you how we can help with that. When we are in place, the idea is Nerdio will help across the entire AVD stack. So it'll help make things easier to use, more supportable for your support desk, help with application management, automation of a lot of the processes. Before I jump into it, though, I just wanted to share a few figures around what we're seeing in the market, so why people are actually using Nerdio. So what we've seen is about a quarter of our customers existing AVDs. So people who have an AVD environment, they're looking to get more out of it, either to optimize it or bring control in-house or just get better management, better handle of what they have. About a third, completely new. So coming in from physical environment, they want to move to cloud for various different reasons, whether it's security and compliance, ease of management, planning for the future. But 40%, and this is actually increasing lately, is existing legacy VDI. Mostly Citrix, and I've talked to a few people already this morning. Everybody knows Citrix licensing is just gone crazy lately. People want to get off it. That's what we're seeing in the market, and I think it's what a lot of you in the room are seeing as well. Now, if you wanted to do that, why use Nerdio? What I'm going to show you is how we can fit into this whole journey. So when you're starting from your initial planning up to actually migrating to Citrix and then optimizing it, we can obviously help a lot with day one and day two, but we can also help with day zero for that pre-move. So getting your existing Citrix environment into AVD in a seamless or painless manner. We'll go through the 4 different steps of this. So planning, launching it, so actually starting the environment, that day zero, user actually in it, managing it on an ongoing basis, so making sure you have made the right choices, tweaking it if not, and then optimizing it, both from a cost perspective and a performance one. So firstly, on planning. Now, we have a tool for this, and that will take you to it, or you can just Google Nerdio Modeler. It extends what's available in the native AVD modeler. It'll ask you questions around what your user base looks like, what their working hours are, what size of machines they need. And it'll put together a lovely little output showing you what you can expect that to cost in realistic terms on a monthly basis, including our licensing costs as well, so we're not going to try and hide that. Part of the advantage of this is you can play around with it. You can say, well, what if we went Windows 365 or single user or remote app? Try all the different permutations and see how it impacts the bottom line. Now, one of the outputs of this as well, which can be useful, is the environmental impact. Because obviously, consuming less power with Nerdio managing the environment, because we can, I'll talk about auto scale later, but because we can turn machines on and off, you're reducing your carbon footprint. That can help a lot with business cases. When it comes time to actually do it, so you've got the plan in place, you know this is how much it's going to cost, this is what we're looking at. How do we actually get there? One of the newer tools we've added is Nerdio Migrate. This is aimed at existing Citrix environments in Azure. What you can do is point Nerdio towards your existing Citrix VMs and say, import this. Nerdio will do the rest. So it'll grab your machine, it'll remove all of the Citrix agents, it'll install the AVD agents, it'll figure out who the primary user is, it'll create a new AVD machine for that user and assign them to it. So that whole process can just automate. It's a bit more tricky if you're on-prem because we don't have visibility of that yet, but Microsoft have Azure Migrate tool where you can take those on-prem machines and it can replicate them in Azure, and then we can do whatever we need to with them. When it's up there as well, that same migration can also be used to move from AVD to Windows 365 if that turns out to be a better fit for your users. And that's something that we can help you with as well. We can say, hey, this user is costing you X amount, you'd actually save money if they were on 365. That's not the only solution though. That's if you are looking to move purely to the cloud. Now, last year, Microsoft announced hybrid, Microsoft Hybrid, Azure Hybrid. That allows you to use your on-prem infrastructure to host AVD machines. So if you've got Nutanix or existing VMware hardware, you can use that to host AVD infrastructure. And it gets over that middle ground, right? Because you can answer these questions about compliance or data sovereignty because you're keeping that on-prem. And Nerdio is a launch partner for that, so it's going to be the same interface for us. We can use that to manage your Azure Hybrid, and then you can use that to expand into AVD. So whether it's purely for DR or if you just want a separate host pool within AVD, all of that is going to be the same Nerdio interface that you're using to manage it. Now, so once you've done that movement, if you've decided to bring over your own machines, you're still looking to manage it. And this can be a good reason to start from scratch, start from a blank slate, because if you do have that existing on-prem desktop, it's going to be messy. They always are. So if you do want to start from scratch, we've got an image management tool that allows you to quickly create new images, install applications on it, customize it however you need. And I will emphasize that again, do it easily and quickly. Because everything you need to create an image is now going to be condensed onto a single screen with nice drop-downs. So it's all about, you don't need to be an expert to do this. You can just choose, hey, I want this image, I want this size of VM. I'm going to talk about applications in a second, but you can just select applications to install from a list here. Nerdio will do the rest. It'll start up the VM, it'll install all of your applications, get it all ready to go. You can then use scheduled updates to keep that up to date. So install Windows updates once a month, run sysprep once a month. Because of that sysprep piece will also be managed by Nerdio. That's when you get it ready to use as a base to build a host. All of that can be managed and automated from Nerdio. So you get an ongoing cycle of monthly patch updates to your base image. The application side of things, we've got what we call unified application management. The idea is, regardless of where your applications currently are, we can bring them into Nerdio and present them in a single screen. So that's going to be a combination of SCCM, private winget, Intune, MSIs, XEs. We'll have access to the public winget as well, so anything you'd find in the Microsoft App Store will show in this list here. that you can then select from the drop-down. So again, just make it as simple as possible. Everything under a single interface with minimal training needed. The learning curve here is very shallow because it's self-explanatory what pretty much most of this is doing. You also have choice how you want to deploy this. So you can set it to run your live machines. You can set it to run your desktop image. You can set it to check in every 5 minutes and see is the latest version of Chrome installed. If not, push it out. So you get complete control over how that looks and where it goes. Once you have that image with the applications on it, then it's down to creating host pools. And again, and I keep coming back to this, but it's making it as simple as possible. We've got a single screen where you're selecting what type of host pool you want. Is it single session, multi-session, remote app? Single screens to manage deployments of these across availability zones if you want to get really low level on it. And then simple user interface things like manage user sessions. How long until they become idle? How long until sessions are disconnected? All through this same interface. So that's the environment. You've got it imported in Citrix, you've created new images, you now want to optimize it. This is where our auto scale feature comes in. Because every second the machine's running, you're paying for compute. We want to keep that to a minimum. So we expand massively in what's available in the native Azure portal and give you, again, simple interface to decide when do I start on a new machine. Is it based on user sessions? Make sure there's a certain amount left. Is it based on performance? If my CPU and memory start going above a certain threshold on my existing machines, start up a new one. Or some combination of these. So you can balance that user performance with your cost. The other side of this is auto-healing. As part of this, we'll monitor your hosts. If they start reporting an issue, we can take action, which will usually be try turn it off and on again, or usually fix the problem right. You can get more extreme on that if needs be. We can also do things like disk swap, because you're paying for premium disk even when machines are powered off. With Nerdio, we can swap the disk type when the machine's shut down. So you're on the cheapest tier of storage. As soon as the power back on, switch back to premium. As the host pool is running, we'll then start telling you where you're over-provisioned, where you're under-provisioned. You've got too few machines or too many running, and make recommendations on you can start shutting down sooner. And the idea is just fine-tuning what's there. So with your native auto-scaling, you can get quite good, but with Nerdio, you'll see it's more just-in-time provisioning. So you're really stamping down on the costs. That'll also work for your storage. So we can monitor your FSLogix storage, your FSLogix profiles. We can shrink the profiles. We can auto-grow the storage or auto-shrink it. The idea being if it starts running out, you're going to get that black screen on log on that people get all the time with FSLogix. We can get ahead of that. As soon as it starts running out of space, expand it. Or if you've got way too much space, reduce it. From the user support perspective then, we've also got a couple of tools. Console Connect is a fully featured remote support tool. So you can shadow user sessions. It'll work equally well on multi-session environments. You just choose which user session. You can take it over. You can deal with UAC prompts. You can chat to the user. You can just access Registry Task Manager if you want to. But that'll all be within the same console. So you can see those user sessions and do whatever you want to with them. That leads into Insights, which is reporting what's actually happening in the environment. And this will do it on various different levels. So you can get those top-level executive dashboards of this is how much the whole environment costs. This is how much time we're saving by automating tasks. But you can also do real-time reports on what your environment currently looks like. So this will show you all of your live hosts and what their CPU looks like, what their memory looks like, which applications are consuming resource on those apps in real time. So you can see, is there any particular ones causing problems? You know you need to go deal with them. That will also work on your physical machines. If we're hooked into Intune, we can push this out to the whole physical estate as well, get the same information. That means you can get details on, well, is Wi-Fi rubbish or is gateway response rubbish? Get that whole end-to-end picture about what's going on. Last thing I want to talk about, cost attribution. We can report on a per user basis who is costing you the most money. So you can see individual users is costing me X amount. So if you need to do any chargeback or any reporting across departments, that's how we can get there quite easily. Intune Insights, pull in all data from Intune, report on it, because Intune is rubbish at that. And make recommendations. I'm speeding up now because I'm slightly over time. Make recommendations on if you have the right size of machine or if you need to drop down to another one. If you do, it's a single button click to apply that change and update your machine. And that's how we can help. I got through the whole thing without mentioning Gen AI as well, so that's a bonus. We do have a stand outside, so please come talk to us if you'd like any more detail. But thank you very much, and hopefully that was useful.